Market, common mark.
I'm doing a film about my nightmares as I'm dreaming them. In order for the movie to continue, it was dependent on me having more nightmares. Well, fortunately, I did.
I'm a little frightened by what Wes may have tapped into. I frankly felt that it was over when we did the final nightmare.
In a town where movies go over schedule and directors go over budget, something far more evil is out of control.
Suffered its own terror today as two of Hollywood's best-known special effects technicians were found dead.
Part of the theme of the movie is becoming like part of the making of the movie.
Can you come with me in my dreams?
I think that only happens in the movies.
What happens when the story dies? The evil is set free. Now that the films have ended, the genie's out of the bottle. That's what the nightmares are telling me, and that's what I'm writing.
This is still a script we're talking about, right, Wes?
You've decided to cross over out of films into our reality.
The only way to stop him is to make another movie.
Oh, my God.
The bad man's getting awful close.
You're gonna have to make a choice.
What kind of choice?
Whether or not you're willing to play Nancy one last time.
Cut the effect!
Isn't there somebody who can stop him?
That person's you.
Why me?
But it was you that gave Nancy her strength. Nancy.
Almost there.
Where's my gun?
I guess what I've tried to do is I've tried to make movies where I can honestly say, I haven't seen that before. And to follow my deepest intuitions and in some cases literally my dreams, so that I don't feel like I'm copying something that's come before me.
What Wes Craven chose to do, some of it I find really amusing and interesting, which was using the people who were really involved in the making, putting them in this position of playing themselves and things like that. And then also, I think he was trying to encapsulate the whole genre somewhat in the manner of making allusions to fairy tales and something that existed that is demonic and so on. To me, I would, as I've already mentioned, my preference is to try to search out the drama of what that is, because it's a drama in itself, trying to achieve some understanding. And in the process, the drama is the conflict with those who are opposed to revealing the drama, revealing the secret, you might say, okay? He chose, I thought, to kind of make a sort of an erudite view, sweeping view of the thing in terms of an explanation. I kind of liked and was scared initially in the first part where, again, there was a young wife and mother and her husband. And when he was killed, I felt strongly for the circumstances involved, the way, the sense of vulnerability and so on. I felt it in a drama sense. It shook me, you know? But I think one of the problems is determining and locating where we're talking about this thing exists, these this evil or demon, you know? It seems to people making the film seem to have a great problem of defining it, so therefore it appears in a dream and it appears in reality. I was one of the people who never encountered Freddy. Well, wait a minute, number 3, I don't know, there was some skeletons and stuff like that. But in the last one, I mean, I'm untouched by Freddy. Heather is going through this drama about the child and Freddy and so on and so forth. But Freddy never comes to me, never bothers me. In one scene, one person can see him, another person can't. It's too, that's too arbitrary. It doesn't suggest what it really is and where it's at that this problem with evil, you know, comes. It's always existed, yes, but try to make a story of making me understand what it is and what it's about so that I can get really concerned.
In these movies, you never see people really mourning. You see them beautifully dressed at the funerals, and that's about it. So we decided to have a scene where my character walks out to the car and just collapses and is sobbing and is grief-stricken. And we had another scene in the bed where I'm lying in bed just crying, crying and crying and crying. And I think that Wes was very wise in actually not putting those scenes in, because the thing about a horror movie is that the fun part about it is that there's no consequences of people dying. And so when you start showing, oh, there's actually someone actually sad about this guy dying in this original way, it takes a lot of, I think, away. And so we worked on those scenes, and I tried to do my best, but they didn't really make it to the final film. And I'd be interested to know his reason, but I think that's my reason why I don't think they were, they're not part of a horror movie. They're not part of that kind of the genre. Wes never belabored the idea that we had to get so deep and reach deep down. I mean, there were certain intense scenes, of course, where he wanted us to do that, but he would trust you as an actor to be able to reach that point on your own at the way that you are comfortable doing it. And so sometimes he would just say, you know, this is a horror movie, you know, just stop asking so many questions, Heather. Because I'd say, this doesn't make sense. I don't understand. The logic here doesn't make sense. He's like, it's a horror movie, you know, or it's a nightmare. That's what he'd always say. It's a nightmare. You know, trust me, it doesn't have to make sense. So in that way, Wes is very efficient. He wants to get what he wants, and he knows it the minute he sees it. Well, looking back, in the first one, I really feel like I was a complete, just such a newcomer, but it worked for me. And I feel that a lot of the innocence that I had as a person just having moved to LA, I was 18 years old, I didn't know anybody, the vulnerability I was experiencing in my private life, and I think played into the part I was, you know, playing as Nancy in that film. And I got a great pleasure out of being that strong, booby trap setting, heroine, you know, doing everything I could to, you know, beat Freddy. So that was a very youthful kind of part. And then the second film I was in, which was Dream Warriors, you know, I was put into this part of playing the maternal caregiver to all these younger actors, and it didn't sit well with me personally, because I was close to their age, first of all, and the script had been changed enough where I really felt that a lot of the emotions of my character they weren't easy to bring across on screen. I look at that performance and I think there's something missing, and I can't really put my finger on it, but I think I felt more like Patricia, but I was having to be her, you know, her surrogate mother, or her, you know, Patricia Arquette, you know, her caretaker. And it was a different kind of part, and I don't know if I was as interested in playing that role. And then in the final one, I really enjoyed playing that part, and I really feel like I did some of my best acting ever in that movie. I felt very close to the boy who played my son, and I was playing a mother, and I am a mother. And so finally, I think I grew into being able to feel like I could take care of somebody on screen. It's a very hard thing to come across as a convincing person who really cares about a younger person. I didn't realize that until I saw Nightmare 3, and somebody described me in a review as callow, and I think that's a good word for how my performance was in Nightmare 3.
In Nightmare 7, the idea was to have earthquakes as kind of presaging the appearance of Freddy and be an early sign, and we had filmed all of those earthquake scenes and had the problem of, we had a couple places where we wanted Nancy driving through the city and having evidence of the earthquake having happened, and we had production meetings about we have to go find, maybe we can find a place where they're knocking down some buildings or something and it'll look like an earthquake, And in the middle of that period when we were trying to figure out how to schedule that, boom, the Northridge earthquake devastated Los Angeles. And it's funny, I'd always read about the early Hollywood filmmakers when they heard there were a fire would run out and stage something with the fire in the background. And sure enough, there we were sending crews out to drive by, various fallen buildings with Nancy's double in it to get footage that we could never have afforded to get otherwise. It was very creepy, and when the film came out, I think a lot of audiences, especially in Los Angeles, had a lot of problems with sitting through it because it was so real.
In number one, I seem to be the super rational father who can't quite understand or catch on to some of the reality, whatever it is that is bedeviling his daughter, Certainly, as what I'm suggesting as a person, I would attribute to some of the same things to the character. That to me, there's dreams speak of a world that is removed and archaic and very powerful, but it doesn't move into the supernatural of today. Freddy doesn't exist today. I don't think the first one set out to say it exists in our souls, as it were, and comes to us in our dreams. But I was a skeptic, and rightly so in many ways. And I think basically a skeptical person and trying to hold together a family circumstance that was breaking up. There was a divorce and things like that. By number 3, I seem to be dissolute, no longer a lieutenant of detectives, but a security guard with stubble beard and an alcoholic or something. All I can remember, just as an anecdote, is when I first did it, I thought Heather was really the epitome of a cute, pretty co-ed. I mean, she looked like something, back when I was a young man, that were on the Shampoo, the Halo girl, the Breck girl, I mean, she looked sort of picture perfect, the Becky of Sunnybrook Farms or whatever, Rebecca, By number 3, some years had passed, not that it's saying she wasn't, but my relationship, and I was the older actor, and I would kind of, I sort of suppose I flirted with her a little bit, on the set and so on. By number 3, though, I don't know why, I remember I was teasing her, and in some sort of way about suggesting something kind of incestuous between the characters, not in reality, but just kind of kidding her in this way. And then going back to my appearance in the last one, I appear, of course, in the split personage of myself, or a version of me, the actor, being friendly to Heather, the actress, and the interplay between the roles that we played, which was really, I think, an interesting thing. And it came off fairly well, I thought.
The only time I ever see Freddy in my mind's eye is way back to one of the first early weeks on Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1, which I was waiting to do a night shot I think Heather was working with John Saxon, and I had to do a night shot with Heather, and literally jump out from behind a bush and go boo. And we were losing the night as opposed to losing the light. And I had gone to sleep in my trailer with the makeup on. And if I got up to pee or something in the middle of the night, I had my dimmer switch on my makeup mirror on very, very low, which gives off this ghosty sort of dimmer light. And bang, bam, bam, the AD knocked on the door. Mr. England, we need you now. We're going to try to get this shot before the light comes up. And I kind of sat up, and I had really horrible breath because I had the fake teeth in, and the glued down latex in my mouth. And I sat up, and as I sat up, I looked into the mirror. And in the half light from the dimmer switch on the makeup mirror, I caught a movement in the kind of equidistance perspective in the mirror. And there was this disgusting old crone of a man there looking back at me, and it freaked me out. I jumped. My heart went a mile a minute. And of course, it was me. And I'd forgotten that I had the makeup on. And I still occasionally, not often, but occasionally have a dream of that moment. It's made a little crease in my gray matter, and it'll find its way back into my dream state occasionally. And this moment of me in the mirror, in the recesses of that mirror, in the shadows back there, looking, and that second or two where I really couldn't figure out who that was, and it mirrored me like that old Harpo Marx. It really did scare me. And I probably a couple times a year, that'll enter my dream state and have that nightmare. It's just brief, and it's very disconcerting. It's all because it's like that astral projection. Because I know about Freddie intellectually, and I know that movement, but it's not me because it's in the mirror,